Hey y'all, welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. I'm about to go live on everywhere else. I put YouTube on first because sometimes y'all be slow to the game. So I just had to make sure that y'all were going to be live. And now I am turning everyone else on, hitting start. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Good morning. I keep doing that. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. We are here on Tuesday, March 25th. Tuesday, March 25th. We're going to have a great show. I am going to be breaking down the March 29th election, the four amendments that are on the ballot in New Orleans. Of course, in different areas of the state, there are multiple things on the ballot, but I'm only going to be talking about the things that are going to be on the ballot in Orleans Parish. So welcome to Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. We are here on Tuesday, March 29th, and we're going to be talking about the March 29th election. I'm going to break down the amendments as well as I'm going to break down the judicial branch. So if you've missed any of our episodes, this is episode 27. Welcome to the party. If you've missed it, you've missed a lot of episodes. But to be truthful, the political episodes start at episode 20. So you can start there and kind of catch up if you like. I am everywhere that you podcast. Oh, let's see. TikTok is just popping on. I am everywhere that you podcast. You can find me at faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com, faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. Right there, it'll send you a link to everywhere that you podcast, whether if you listen online at Apple or Amazon or Spotify or iHeart, we are everywhere that you listen. So if you miss an episode, you don't have to miss an episode. We are there. So make sure you go follow us. Thanks. The faithinpoliticstoday.podbean.com. And if you did not receive our e-blast today, you want to, because I have the amendments on there straight from the Secretary of State's website. I'm giving you all the information from an independent point of view. I am not going to tell you who or what to vote for on each of these amendments. I'm going to tell you, if you vote for this, this is what it does. If you vote for this, this is what it doesn't. And so I'm just going to give you the information and you can make the decision for yourself. I am not here to sway you. I am here to strictly give you information. And so if you would like this type of information, you can text JOIN and your email. Text JOIN and your email to 504-399-4380. That is 504-399-4380. Yes, I pop on here every Tuesday during your lunchtime, to give you the information you didn't know you needed. It's not always, the most fun information, but it's the information that you need. It's the information your family needs. And it's the information that as we grow as a community, we will strengthen the community and we will begin to see change. Because how can you referee from afar if you don't know the rules of the game? And so that's what I found, unfortunately, a lot in New Orleans, that, information isn't readily available for everyone, or people don't even know where to look for it. And so, they may get frustrated and then just stop looking. Well, what I did was I put a lot of information in your hands. I wrote a book. It's Faith in Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, a guide to civics, resources and civic engagement. The link to it is in all of my social media bios. You can go buy the book, and I'll put this out there. If you don't have the funds to buy the book, I will send you the PDF. So send me a DM if you don't have the funds to buy the book, and I will send you the PDF of the book, because I believe it is that important for us to get the information out there for everyone to be on the same playing field. We have a lot of elections coming up. We have a lot of information that our residents don't know, and we need to catch up. If you think the meeting starts at 6:30 and I know the meeting starts at 6 o'clock, then you're already late. And unfortunately, that's what's going on in the city of New Orleans. I believe we have been played way too long. And so I want to give the residents information, and you can make up you can make up your mind for yourself. And so if you would like to partner with me or Faith in Politics Today, you can do that by emailing me at faithinpoliticstoday@gmail.com. That is faithinpoliticstoday@gmail.com. I want to hear your concerns, your thoughts, your solutions, especially that. I love people's solutions. Actually, I've gotten a lot of information with regard to solutions and things that are going on in the city that we should know about. So I'll be really diving into a lot of that information. I had a recent show about, I did a I did a survey with regard to residents, and a lot of residents sent me their 2 cents. And so if you want to go back and listen to that, you can do that. But our political podcasts are 20 through 27 today. So make sure you join there. And again, if you want to receive these blasts, you can text join in your email to 504-399-4380. So let's jump right in. I know y'all are so excited to hear about what's on the ballot for this coming Saturday's election. I know you're not, but yes, you are. And we need to be, because all of these elections, especially some of your side ones, are really important. And we may see them as a smaller election because we only have amendments on them. But in other parts of the state, they're voting for judges. They may be voting for a mayor, or they may be filling a position that has been that someone may have passed away, or they moved to a different position. And so they are filling positions. And so you have elections going on throughout the state. We do not have any major elections in the city of New Orleans. Our next major election, I put that in quotation marks, is in October. That will be our mayor and our city council, all of our large political offices. So make sure you stay in touch for that. I really do give all of the information that you didn't know you needed. And if you aren't the person who wants to hear it in podcast form, again, I created a book, Faith in Politics Today, and it is available on Amazon, and the link is in the bio. So let's pop into what's going on the ballot, because everywhere you go, you see, hey, vote no on everything or vote yes on everything. And while I appreciate that, I believe that everybody needs to know what you're voting yes for or what you're voting no for. That's just my 2 cents. I feel like, people just tell you what to do rather than you being really having a foundation in your understanding of what is on the ballot. So what I did is I pulled up in the internet. Okay, here we go. I pulled up the information directly from the Secretary of State. And so with that, the amendment guide, I sent in the blast, like I said earlier. And I'm trying to pull it up. I'm like, where did it go? Here it is, sos.la.gov. Okay, well, I'm going to pull it up again because the internet wants to be acting funny. But you know what? You can't stop it. So I'm pulling it up right now, and I'm going to read it directly from the Secretary of State site. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down more simply. I'm going to say, hey, this is what a vote yes does, and this is what the vote no does. We're going to make it very simple for you so that you can make the decision for yourself. I'm not here to, sway your vote either way. I just want to give you the information, and I want you to make the decision for yourself, because I believe that is vitally important. I just don't believe that we have been getting enough facts and information. And I don't believe someone should tell you how to vote. I believe that you should give somebody the information and let them make their own decision. So the proposed amendment for number one, there's 4 amendments. Number one is, and this is straight from the Secretary of State's site. You can go on sos.la.gov under elections and what's going on in this election. And you can hit the box and they give you a breakdown of it. And so I'm getting this straight off the Secretary of State's site. After you get off here and you want to go look it up for yourself, actually, I put the link to it in my social bios on Instagram. So you can go on there and get the information as well if you don't want to go search it for yourself. So proposed amendment number 1, Act 2, 2004, third extraordinary session. Proposing to amend Article 5, Sections 5B, 15A, and 16A of the Constitution of Louisiana, relative to jurisdiction of courts, to provide for disciplinary proceedings over attorneys from other jurisdictions, concerning legal services in the state and over related unethical practices, to authorize creation of courts of limited or specialized jurisdiction, and to specify an election for submission of the proposition to electors and provide a ballot proposition. So the question is, do you support an amendment granting the Louisiana Supreme Court jurisdiction to discipline out-of-state lawyers for unethical legal practices in the state of Louisiana, and to grant the legislature the authority to establish trial courts of limited and specialized jurisdiction? So this is what the proposed amendment number 1 offers. So now I have found a guide, and this is the PAR guide to the 2025 constitutional amendments. And so I'm going to tell you what a vote for does and what a vote against does. So, like I said, this is Amendment 1, Specialty Trial Courts and Discipline of Lawyers. So a vote yes to Amendment 1 would add to the Constitution the Louisiana Supreme Court's authority to discipline out-of-state lawyers for legal work in the state and expand the legislature's authority to create specialty courts not limited to parish and judicial district boundaries. So, a vote yes on Amendment 1 would add to the Constitution the Louisiana Supreme Court's authority to discipline out-of-state lawyers for legal work in the state and expand the legislature's authority to create specialty courts not limited to parish and judicial district boundaries. So, a vote no to Amendment 1 would be to retain the current provisions governing the Louisiana Supreme Court's oversight of lawyer discipline and keep the Louisiana legislature's authority to create specialty courts limited to parish and judicial district boundaries. So, again, a vote no on Amendment 1 would be to retain the current provisions governing the Louisiana Supreme Court's oversight of lawyer discipline and keep the Louisiana legislature's authority to create specialty courts limited to parish and judicial district boundaries. So, that is what Amendment number 1 would do on the ballot for our March 29th election. So I'm giving you this straight from the Secretary of State site. I'm telling you what it is and then what a vote yes will do and what a vote no will do. We have no opinion in this. This is straight what's going to happen. Okay, so proposed amendment number 2. Proposed amendment number 2, according to Act 1, the 2024 third extraordinary session. This is where it came out of. Proposing to revise Article 7 of the Constitution of Louisiana relative to revenue and finance, to provide with respect to the power of taxation, including limitations thereon, to require uniformity with respect to certain local and state tax measures, to provide with respect to assessment of property and other items of taxation, to provide with respect to remittal of some or all certain tax revenues to local entities, to provide with respect to rates of taxation, to provide with respect to dedication of certain revenue, to provide with respect to bonded indebtedness, including limitations thereon, to provide with respect to the interim emergency board, to provide with respect to the state bond commission, to provide with respect to deposit of monies received by the state or its instrumentalities, to provide with respect to the bond security and redemption fund, to provide with respect to expenditure of state revenues, to provide with respect to the revenue estimating conference, to provide with respect to appropriations, to provide with respect to deficits, to provide with respect to budgets, to provide with respect to publication of certain data, to provide with respect to the budget stabilization fund, to provide with respect to the protection and restoration fund, to provide for establishing certain classes of trust and funds in the state treasury, to provide with respect to designation of certain trust and funds in the state treasury as a member of such classes, to provide with respect to Louisiana Education Quality Trust Fund, including sub-funds thereof, to provide with respect to the Mineral Revenue Audit and Settlement Fund, to provide with respect to the Oil Field Site Restoration Fund, to provide with respect to the Oil Spill Contingency Fund, to provide with respect to the Millennium Trust and any funds within it, to provide with respect to the Louisiana Fund, to provide with respect to the Artificial Reef Development Fund. Y'all, we need to know this. To provide with respect to the legislature's authority to take certain actions, to provide with respect to the Hospitalization Stabilization Formula and Fund, to provide with respect to the Louisiana Medical Assistance Trust Fund and any accounts therein, to provide with respect to the Revenue Stabilization Trust Fund, to provide with respect to the Conservation Fund, to provide with respect to public access to certain revenue and expenditure information, to provide with respect to investment of certain monies, to provide with respect to things of value, to provide with respect to cooperative endeavors, to provide with respect to prior obligations regarding things of value, to provide with respect to release of or extinguishment of certain obligations. Okay. To provide with respect to taxes, to require transfer of certain assets to the teachers' requirement system of Louisiana, to provide with respect to the authority of the teachers' retirement system of Louisiana regarding calculation of system liabilities and required funding, to provide with respect to use by certain political subdivisions of certain revenues, to provide a salary increase for certain personnel, to provide with respect to valuation of property for tax purposes, to provide with respect to treatment of certain property, income, and things of value for tax purposes, to provide with respect for tax liability, to provide with respect for reduction or elimination of tax liability in certain circumstances, to provide with respect to certain payments to political subdivisions, to provide with respect to invalidation or impairment of certain taxes or obligations, to provide with respect to millage rates, to provide with respect to tax assessors, to provide with respect to tax sales, to provide with respect to liens and privileges, to provide with respect to the revenue sharing fund, to provide with respect to the Louisiana Unclaimed Property Permanent Trust Fund, almost done, y'all, to create to the local revenue fund, to provide relative to the severance tax allocation on brine, to make technical and conforming changes, to provide for submission of the proposed amendment to the electors and provide for related matters. So the question on the ballot: do you support an amendment to revise Article 7 of the Constitution of Louisiana, including revisions to lower the maximum rate of income tax, increase income tax deductions for citizens over 65, provide for a government growth limit, modify operation of certain constitutional funds, provide for property tax exemptions, retaining the homestead exemption and exemption for religious organizations, provide a permanent teacher salary increase by requiring a surplus payment to teacher retirement debt, and make other modifications. Now, I know that was a lot, so I'm going to give it to you in a broken down form. So the short version of that is Amendment 2. What does it do? It overhauls the budget and tax allowances and limitations in the state of Louisiana. A vote yes would rewrite large portions of the Louisiana Constitution article dealing with revenue collections and state budget process, savings accounts, and taxation rules. A vote no would continue the current provisions governing revenue collections, budgeting procedures, savings accounts, and taxation limitations. So I'm going to break this down a little bit more because it was lengthy. I'm going to break it down into six pieces here. So Amendment 2, y'all, this is the big one on taxes. So it's an overhaul of the budget and tax allowances and limitations. So this is what Amendment 2 does. So a vote for Amendment 2 does this. It enacts new tax rules, places limits on the enactment of tax breaks, lowers the cap on individual income tax rates, and allows more severance tax money to flow to local government. It creates tighter limits on annual growth in Louisiana state general fund spending on ongoing programs and services with tougher rules for changing the limit. It increases the cap on deposits into the Budget Stabilization Fund, transfers additional cash into the account, and eliminates the Revenue Stabilization Trust Fund, giving lawmakers more money in the general fund to spend. It dissolves 3 education trust funds and uses the money to pay down retirement debt and give public school teachers and support workers a permanent raise. It removes several protected trust funds from the Constitution and places them in state law, giving lawmakers more ability to change the rules governing them. And last but not least, it allows local governments to lessen property taxes on business inventory or get a one-time payment if they stop charging those taxes, removing some property tax breaks from the Constitution, not the homestead exemption, and to make it tougher to enact new property tax exemptions. So that is what a vote yes to amendment number 2 does. So this is what a vote no does for amendment 2. It keeps the current rules and limitation on taxes and tax breaks and continues a cap on the severance tax money that flows to local government. A vote no also keeps the current limits on annual growth on in-state spending, which can be changed with support from 2/3 of lawmakers. Ooh, 2/3, when is that ever going to happen? Never. But anyway, it could, I'm just saying. A vote no keeps the two state savings accounts, the Budget Stabilization Fund and the Revenue Stabilization Trust Fund, with their current deposit rules and spending limitations in place. A vote no also maintains the 3 education trust funds and continues to distribute their investment earnings for public school and higher education programs. It also continues to provide constitutional protections to existing trust funds, so it remains harder for lawmakers to change the rules governing them. And finally, a vote no continues the current system for local governments to charge property taxes on business inventory, maintain constitutional protections for property tax breaks, and avoids any new hurdles for enacting property tax exemptions. So that is a breakdown of amendment number 2 and what a yes vote will do and what a no vote will do. So now we're going to jump to amendment number 3. So amendment number 3 proposed per the sos.la.gov, which is the Secretary of State's website, and all of us should become familiar with that. Secretary of State runs the elections in the state of Louisiana and has all of your election information there. So you should pop on there, or if you're a small business, you can definitely go there. It should be your best friend as to how to get your business documents in order. That's how you would start your business and get your business together in the state of Louisiana. And everybody needs to have their paperwork in order. So make sure you pop on the Secretary of State's site to make sure all your stuff is in order. All right, back to the amendments. Number 3. Proposing to amend Article 5, Section 19 of the Constitution of Louisiana relative to special juvenile proceedings to provide relative to crimes committed by juveniles, to allow adult prosecution for certain felony offenses specified by the legislature, and to specify an election for submission of the proposition to electors and provide a ballot proposition. So the question is, do you support an amendment to provide let me start over. Do you support an amendment to provide the legislature the authority to determine which felony crimes, when committed by a person under the age of 17, may be transferred for criminal prosecution as an adult? So that is the question on the ballot. And this is what a yes vote would do. So if you voted yes to amendment number 3, prosecution of juveniles as adults for felony crimes, a yes vote would remove the list of 16 crimes for which people under the age of 17 can be charged as adults from the Louisiana Constitution, allowing lawmakers to move more easily to expand the list of felony offenses in the law. So that is what a yes vote to Amendment 3 would do. A no vote to Amendment 3 would maintain the limited list of 16 crimes for which people under the age of 17 can be charged as adults. So again, Amendment 3, a vote yes would remove the list of 16 crimes for which people under the age of 17 can be charged as adults from the Louisiana Constitution, allowing lawmakers to more easily expand the list of felony offenses in law. A no vote to Amendment 3 would maintain the limited list of 16 crimes for which people under the age of 17 can be charged as adults. So that is what Amendment number 3 would do. So that is what a no and a yes vote would do. And last but not least, we have Amendment number 4. And this is the shortest one, y'all. Amendment number 4 proposes to amend Article 5, Section 22B of the Constitution of Louisiana relative to judicial elections to provide for election dates for newly created judgeships or vacancies in office of judge, and to specify an election for submission of the proposition to electors and provide a ballot proposition. So the question on the ballot is going to be, do you support an amendment to provide for the use of the earliest election date to fill judicial vacancies? So, a yes vote to amendment number 4, which is special elections for judicial vacancies. So, a yes vote would change the timing requirements for filling a judicial vacancy or newly created judgeship. So, the special election coincides with the regular elections calendar. So that is what a yes vote would do. A no vote on amendment number 4 would keep election rules for filling a judicial vacancy or a newly created judgeship that require the special election to be held and a judge to be seated within 12 months after the vacancy began. So what I just released was a breakdown of the amendments that are going to be on the March 29th ballot. Everyone should educate themselves. Faith in Politics believes in just giving you the information. I do not sway either way. I'm independent. I'm not under a Democratic Party. I'm not under the Republican Party. I do believe in giving people information and just educating them. I believe that is something that, we don't have enough of. A lot of people say, vote no on all this. A lot of people say, vote yes or on all this, but you don't know what you're voting for and you don't know what you're saying yes or no to. So I wanted to offer the information directly from the Secretary of State. This is what the Secretary of State says, and this is what you're going to see when you go into the election, go into your voting booth. A lot of times what you see and what you go into the election booth, you're like, wait, there's a lot going on. So I wanted to give you the information that you're going to see when you go into the election booth. And I wanted to break down each amendment with, if you vote yes on this is what happens. If you vote no on this is what happens. And I believe when you have that type of information, then you can move forward in the way that is most comfortable to you. And so that you can make your decisions for yourself. And so that's what Faith in Politics is all about. It is about educating our community on what's going on. I just really believe New Orleanians have not been giving that information, or, sometimes you're just so busy in your everyday life that you don't, know where to go. And so, you may have to go to, a friends and family event or, a child's game or whatever else. By the time you get home, you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, I got to go vote tomorrow. And then you go in there and just press buttons or you do whatever somebody tells you to do. Well, I believe you should know what you're voting for and why you're voting for it. And when we educate ourselves and the people around us with information, we can decide for ourselves what we want to do. If somebody says just vote yes down the straight down, well, you should know what you're voting for. If somebody's saying vote no, well, then you should know what you're voting for. And so that's what I believe. So I'm going to jump into the book now, Faith in Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, a guide to civics resources and civics engagement. I'm really proud of this book. It took me a while to compile all of the information from all of the various online sources and bring it to you in a book form. It is also available in ebook form, so you can go right there on Amazon, type in Faith in Politics Today or Faith in Politics and just put New Orleans. I say put New Orleans because there's a lot of, different discrepancies with names with lots of books. So if you type in Faith in Politics Today, and just tap in New Orleans, you will go directly to it. You'll see it. It's a purple book. And so that it's me and you'll see it. And it gives you a little breakdown of what's in the book. And I'm just really proud of the information in there because everybody can get something out of it, whether you are a youth and you're learning about politics, and everybody who has some young cousins or people around them who are maybe juniors or seniors. I would say this book is for you, even if they're in high school, freshman, sophomore. I'd say this is a book for anyone in high school to get them up to date with what goes on in your community and knowing who does what and how your community runs. Because if we don't know the rules to the game, how can we referee from afar? I say that all the time, but it is so true, because we need to hold our elected officials accountable. No matter who is in office, we need to know what their responsibilities are. So therefore we can hold them accountable, because honestly, I've said this before, I feel like the people in New Orleans have gotten played, and it's not okay. And so our last episode was episode 26. I broke down the executive and legislative branches. So if you missed that, you can go online anywhere that you podcast. I'm live on YouTube right now. You can find it on YouTube. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're on iHeart. We are on Instagram, X, Twitter, IG. The information is there as well. And so if you missed the executive and legislative branches, please go back and watch those and understand what's going on. It's something we really need to be astute with right now, because we are having major elections in the city of New Orleans. And so with a lot of the people putting themselves out there having already held public office, we should be able to look back and say, well, have you done your job in the office that you just completed? If you want a new job, let me make sure that you did your old job correctly, right? And so I want to put that information there so that you can compare and contrast effectively. So today I'm going to jump into the judicial branch, and this is in Faith and Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans. Like I said, it is available on Amazon. So the judicial branch in New Orleans, as outlined in the New Orleans Charter, plays a critical role in ensuring the rule of law and upholding justice within the city. While the city charter primarily focuses on the organization and responsibilities of the executive and legislative branches, the judicial branch operates within the broader framework of Louisiana's state legal system. And so that's important to know. The city's courts and judges are part of the state judicial system, but function within New Orleans to handle local legal matters. So that is really important, because people may think that, well, why can the state come in and do this? And why is the state, coming in with regard to the DA? Well, because they're under the broader framework of the state of Louisiana. So I'm going to repeat that again if you missed it, or you're like, wait, what? Exactly. This is something we really need to understand. So while the city charter primarily focus on the organization and responsibilities of the executive and legislative branches, the judicial branch operates within the broader framework of the Louisiana state legal system. So the city's courts and judges are part of the state judicial system, but function within New Orleans to handle local leader matters. So an overview: the judicial branch in New Orleans operates under the broader Louisiana state constitution and is primarily made up of several types of courts designated to handle different categories of cases. The New Orleans City Charter gives an overview of how the local courts integrate with city governance, although the detailed authority of judges and the court system is guided by Louisiana state law. So it's really important to know these things, because if you are ever in the legal system, or you need to sue somebody or anything like that, and you need to follow and see where you go for what, it is not under a New Orleans system. It is guided by the Louisiana state law. So that is very, very important. So with that being said, let's hop to the role of the courts in New Orleans. The court system in New Orleans is responsible. Oh, I hit the button, y'all. I'm going to scroll back up. Sorry. I'll start over. Here we go. Well, it wants to play games. Here we go, y'all. I'm going to make it a little shorter. There we go. Yeah, the devil is a liar. Let me scroll down 2 more pages, y'all. Okay, here we go. And this is on page number 6. So if you got the book, page number 6. The role of the courts in New Orleans. The court system in New Orleans is responsible for interpreting and applying the laws passed by the city council. So if you missed last week's episode, go catch up. But as was explained, the city council creates the laws and passes laws. The executive branch, the mayor, does not pass a law. The judicial branch does not pass a law. The city council passes laws, i.e. ordinances. The mayor executes the laws. The mayor is supposed to make sure that the laws are followed. And the court systems interpret and apply the laws passed by the city council. So we need to know who does what. So when you see what's happening with the law, you want a law change or you want something changed, that's the city council. When the law isn't being applied and you're seeing it go haywire in the city, well, why aren't we like making sure that this law is enforced? That's the mayor. And if the law needs to be applied or interpreted, that is our judicial system. So that is the difference. So the court system in New Orleans is responsible for interpreting and applying the laws passed by the city council, as well as state and federal laws to ensure justice is administered fairly and impartially. The judicial branch ensures that the rights of individuals are protected while also holding people accountable for violations of the law. Key aspects of the judicial role in New Orleans include interpreting local laws. The courts have the authority to interpret ordinances passed by the city council. These ordinances, which are local laws that govern day-to-day activities in New Orleans, can be challenged in court if a person believes they have been wrongly impacted by them. So you need to understand that you have this ability. You can do this in the court system. These ordinances, they're local laws that govern the day-to-day activities in New Orleans, can be challenged in court if a person, resident, believes that they have been wrongly impacted by the law. The courts are also required to dispute resolution. So the court provides a forum for resolving disputes between individuals, organizations, or the government, whether dealing with civil, criminal, family, or other types of cases. The judicial branch is the revenue for resolving legal conflicts. And so a great example of this is actually JP Morrell put out a video about this the other day with regard to the city council suing the Wisner Trust because the administration, our executive branch, created a new contract, for lack of a better word, a new agreement. Thank you. Put together a new agreement with regard to the trust. And New Orleans was actually going to get less money out of the deal. And so the city council was like, hey, we don't like that deal. This is not okay. So what they did was they brought it to court. So no, they are not suing the mayor. They are suing the trust to say, hey, the trust was not done correctly in New Orleans, show me my money. That's really what the city council is doing. They say, show me the money. And so another example of when the city council and the administration, the executive branch, didn't agree with it, which is in regard to the Orleans school board settlement. And so a lot of people think that it has to do with just the missing funds. Yes, but no. So the city of New Orleans, when they get the property taxes, they are then supposed to give a portion to the school board. So what the school board has said, hey, they checked the books and they said, hey, for all of these years, you haven't been giving us the right amount of money. Show us our money. So the school board sued the city. That was in 2019. And so that case has just kind of been in limbo. Now, during that, the school board ran into a problem and they overestimated their money, their taxes for the year, and says like, oh, we about to be in big trouble. Like, hey, let's see how we can get some money. So one of the ways they thought they could get money was because they had an open suit with the city of New Orleans, and they know that the city of New Orleans owes them money. So they say, hey, let's strike a deal, and it's a win-win for everybody. We'll drop the suit if y'all handle this with us. So as you see, and y'all know what's going on, the city council and the CAO created a deal. The mayor did not sign off of it. What she did sign off on was the budget, which had a $10 million allocation to the school system. So they took them to court. What the court said, Judge Shepard, she said, hey, it was not finalized because the mayor's signature did not finalize the agreement. That did not happen. But the mayor did sign the budget, which had a $10 million allocation in there. So that's why the school board is getting that $10 million. Now, the city council and the school board are taking it to the next level to appeal it because they want to finalize the suit 100%, give the school board their money and be done with the suit totally, because they think it's a win-win for everybody, for our teachers, our children, and everybody. I also believe it is a win-win for everybody. The mayor does have a different opinion and wants to create a different agreement. So that is the difference there, and that's what's going on. So that is why the courts are involved. So the role of the courts in New Orleans, I'm continuing this, they ensure the constitutionality of laws. Courts have the power to review the constitutionality of laws and ordinances, ensuring that they align with the U.S. Constitution, the Louisiana Constitution, and the rights of New Orleans citizens. If a local law is found to be unconstitutional, the court can strike it down. So here is a great piece of information that I don't even know if y'all know. Did you know that New Orleans has a Bill of Rights? Bingo. New Orleans has a Bill of Rights, and I put it right there in the book, Faith and Politics Today. So if you didn't know, New Orleans has a Bill of Rights, and we have certain rights when we live in the city of New Orleans. I can't wait till that show, because your mouth's gonna drop. Actually, you know what? I might do that the next episode. So next Tuesday, I'm gonna do the Bill of Rights, so y'all can know what your rights are in the city of New Orleans. Your mouth are gonna drop, because when you're like, hey, these are our rights, like we could technically say, hey, ABC politician, you are not doing your job, because honestly, a lot of them are not doing their job per the city charter. And that is a whole nother thing. Y'all, when I read the charter and I was going through these things, I was like, people aren't doing their jobs. And so when I kind of had that like light bulb moment, I just wanted y'all to have the same light bulb moment, because I don't like being played. I don't like getting the okie doke. That's one thing my daddy told me, never go for the okie doke. And I don't like to go for the okie doke. So I like to give you the information, and you can make your decisions for yourself. I'm not here to sway you. I give you the information. We're all smart enough to do it for ourselves if the information is in front of us. So the courts in the city of New Orleans. New Orleans has a variety of courts that deal with different aspects of the law. These courts operate under state authority, but serve the specific needs of the city. Some of the key courts in New Orleans include Orleans Parish Civil District Court. This court handles civil cases such as personal injury, contract disputes, property issues, and family law matters like divorce and child custody. It is one of the primary courts for general legal disputes within the city. And everybody knows where that is. If you don't, it is on Poydras and Loyola, Orleans Parish Civil District Court. So that's what they do there. Orleans Parish Criminal District Court. This court is responsible. Y'all know, that's on Broad and Tulane, right? Orleans Parish Criminal District Court. This court is responsible for handling criminal cases, including felonies and misdemeanors. It oversees trials, sentencings, and other aspects of criminal law, ensuring the enforcement of both local and state criminal statutes. Municipal Courts of New Orleans. This court handles lower-level criminal offenses, including violations of city ordinances, traffic violations, and other minor criminal offenses. The municipal court also manages cases such as violations of city building codes and other local matters. Juvenile Court. This court specifically handles cases involving minors, including criminal matters, child custody, and other family-related issues involving children. It ensures that minors are treated fairly under the law and that the best interests of children are prioritized. And so that's where you all see our juvenile justice intervention. So the Juvenile Justice Intervention Center, the JJIC in New Orleans, serves as the city's juvenile detention facility, providing secure pretrial detention for youth charged with delinquent offenses. Its mission, per their website, is to offer quality, evidence-based juvenile detention practices and programming focused on public safety, accountability, and addressing the individual treatment needs of each juvenile. The center provides educational, medical, mental health, and evidence-based treatment programming to support every juvenile's capacity to learn. So those are all of the courts in the city of New Orleans. That's what they do, or that's what they're supposed to do. So that's what I really feel like is important that we each really need to know and understand with regard to the court systems. And the last but not least, the judicial accountability and independence is really important with regard to our judges. And that's why you don't see judges going out there and supporting a political party or political candidate, because they're supposed to remain independent. The courts in New Orleans, as part of the state judicial system, are designed to operate independently of the executive and legislative branches. This separation of power ensures that judges can make decisions based on the law without undue influence from the mayor or the city council. And so this is important because the city council has kind of put this into the spotlight right now with decision-making happening between the mayor and the city council. They have really shown a spotlight on this. And so I want to put this information out there so you can look at it for yourself and you can come up with your own conclusion. Judicial independence is a fundamental aspect of the justice system in New Orleans, as it ensures fairness and impartiality in legal proceedings. Judges are accountable to the law and must apply it consistently, regardless of political or public pressures. Now, that is what they're supposed to do. So, the role of judges in city government. While the New Orleans City Charter focuses primarily on the roles of the executive and legislative branch, judges in New Orleans play an essential role in shaping the city's legal landscape. They ensure that local laws passed by city council are consistent with the broader framework of state and federal law, and they adjudicate cases brought before the courts in accordance with established legal principles. In this way, the judicial branch acts as a safeguard for the rights of individuals and the fair administration of justice in New Orleans. And finally, the judicial branch in New Orleans, although guided by the broader Louisiana state constitution, plays a vital role in upholding justice within the city through a range of courts that addresses civil, criminal, family, and juvenile matters. Judges in New Orleans ensure that local laws and ordinances are interpreted and applied fairly. The judicial branch operates independently from the executive and legislative branches, or it's supposed to, preserving the rule of law and ensuring that residents have access to a fair and impartial legal system. So, did you get all that? If you didn't, this is one you probably want to go back and listen to, highlight for your family and friends. Today is episode 27. What I broke down today was if you're just hopping on, I broke down the 4 amendments that are going to be on our that are presented for election day, that are going to be on the ballot. Thank you. That are going to be on the ballot, when it pops in your head. So on March 29th, this Saturday, we have an election in the city of New Orleans. It's actually an election throughout the entire state. There in different parts of the state, there are different things that are going to be on the ballot. But in New Orleans, it is only these 4 amendments. What I did was I got the information directly from the Secretary of State. I read it to you. So this is what you're going to see in the ballot box. A lot of times you go in there, you're like, wait, this is not what I saw. I read exactly what you're going to see in the ballot box, so there won't be confusion. You'll have some relationship to it. And I gave you exactly what it was. I broke down, this is what a yes vote is going to do, and this is what a no vote is going to do. So I gave you the information. I'm not here to sway you. I'm here to give you the information. After that, in the podcast, I broke down the judicial system in the city of New Orleans. A lot of people may think it is governed by the city of New Orleans, but it is not. Our judicial system is based under Louisiana law. And so people really need to understand that. And so they know who to go where with next and how the judicial system works. So I just want to thank you so much for tapping in, and make sure that if you found this information, helpful, guess what? You can get it at your fingertips. It is available in my book, Faith and Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, a guide to civics, resources, and civic engagement. Y'all, I talk about all kinds of stuff in this book. Actually, you know what? Let me run to the the table of contents in the book. So I'll let you know everything that's in the book, because I really took my time on this. It is a labor of love, and I knew it could be so much longer or shorter. And I was like, nah, we're going to hold it off for here. I really wanted to make it specific to New Orleans because, this is where I'm from. I may grow into like a state and a federal version. I don't know. But today it was about New Orleans. I love New Orleans. I grew up in New Orleans. I grew up in politics, and I just can't help myself. I feel like we just do not get enough real information. And so I wanted to offer it to you. So if you're interested in the book, Faith and Politics, this is what's in it. In part 1, it is understanding New Orleans government, the executive branch, the mayor, the chief executive officer, the legislative branch, the city council, 7 members, the judicial branch, which is what I went over today, the court system and the judges, the departments, offices, boards, and commissions. New Orleans has so many departments. It has so many offices, like the offices of the mayor, like the mayor's office of neighborhood engagement, the mayor's office of homeland security, the mayor's office of gun violence, of reduction, the mayor's office of economic development. There's all these offices that are under the mayor that are not under a department. And residents need to know who does what, where it's located, how it is in the sphere of things. So you know who's responsible for what and how your government runs. Also in the book are the boards and commissions, which are throughout the city of New Orleans, who puts people on these boards and the commissions, how you get on them, and uh, how long people are on the boards and things of that nature. Part 2 in the book is civic engagement and elections, which right now, we have an elections. It breaks down civic engagement in New Orleans and a history of voting in New Orleans in the past 75 years. Sometimes we need to know how we got to where we are so we can move forward. So I give a history of voting. I also give a little lanyard. When I was social media manager for the city of New Orleans, I was that from 2018 to 2021. I created this link. It's called New Orleans, NOLA.gov/apps. It is a one-stop shop for a litany of information that you didn't know you needed and you didn't even know was available in the city of New Orleans. So I encourage everyone to take a moment to go find that. That is NOLA.gov/apps. That is a little lanyard. Also in lanyard, if you purchase the book, I put the information on there with regard to the Independent Investigations Bureau in the city of New Orleans, so that if you had a problem with somebody and you wanted to be incognito or you wanted your 2 cents to be anonymous, I give you the information there that you can go in and you can put in your 2 cents and it's anonymous. Also in the book, like I said earlier, New Orleans has a Bill of Rights. If you did not know it, we absolutely have it. And so in our next episode, I will be talking about New Orleans Bill of Rights, and I'm also going to break down the departments, offices, boards, and commissions. So that will be next Tuesday. So make sure you tap in for that, as well as as if you didn't know, I am Eileen Carter, I was vice chair of the recall. And so with that, I found a lot of people did not know that our elected officials can be removed from office. And so I give the information on how the executive branch can be suspended or removed from office, how the legislative branch can be suspended and removed from office, and what the recall process is from the state of Louisiana to do for elected officials, what that recall process looks like. Once you read it, you may have a little bit more appreciation for what we went through. But anyway, it's all in there. I also break down state versus local government, because I saw a lot of people online thinking that the governor was the mayor's boss. And I'm like, nope. We need a brush up. The governor is not the mayor's boss. So in here, the book, Faith and Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, you can get the comparison between the state versus local responsibilities. You'll also get the comparison between the federal versus state versus local responsibilities. I also have a chapter in there called Link Up. It is online resource links. It is literally every link you can think of, all the departments, all of the offices that are in the city of New Orleans, a lot of our resources. I gave you the link. So if you wanted to know where to get the information, there's a whole chapter on links. And if y'all know me, like I was social media manager, I created the department for the city of New Orleans. I like to give people information, so I want to put it at your fingertips. And I also teach you and give you information on how to do a public records request. Sometimes you're wondering, like, how did the media get this information? Well, you can get it too. It's under a public records request. So I break down the process to get a public records request with regard to New Orleans, or if you want to get it from the state of Louisiana. If you're interested with information and you're not seeing it and you want to get it, you can put in a public records request yourself. You have that power. So I break that down in the book. And last but not least, how to do business. I do come from a small business background, and I love to see small businesses win and to create and to grow. New Orleans has so many creatives, and I just believe that when we have the information and we have our back offices in order, we can do great things together. So I included in there how to do business on the local level in the city of New Orleans, how to do business with the state, and how to do business with the federal government. So I broke that all down there in separate chapters. So that's what the book Faith and Politics Today, Empowering New Orleans, A Guide to Civics, Resources, and Civic Engagement is all about. It's right there at your fingertips. It's on Amazon. You can go and buy it right now. If you do not have the money to purchase it, just DM me. I will give you the PDF version. I'm so serious about making sure that this information gets out. But if you do want to support, you can totally purchase it on Amazon right now. Faith and Politics Today. You just tap in New Orleans because there are a lot of books, but it'll bring you there fast. It has a purple cover just to make sure it's me, and you'll see my picture when they talk about the author. So it is all there. I just want to make sure that the residents feel empowered with information, because I just feel like we've been ignored for too long, and I ain't about that life. I like to give people information. So if you enjoyed this information and you're interested in getting more information like this, I send out a blast every Tuesday. If you would like to get that blast, you can text JOIN, the word JOIN, JOIN, and your email to 504 399 4380. You can text JOIN in your email to 504 399 4380. We have a live podcast right here every Tuesday at noon. I am live on YouTube. I'm live on IG. I'm live on X, and I'm live on TikTok. So thank you all for joining me live. I appreciate you very much. And please keep sending me your DMs with information. If you are, in the city and something and you want to get that information out there and you just don't want it to be you, I have a couple people in that position, send me the information. I will share the information to make sure residents knows what's up and what's going on. And if you want to email me, you can email me at faithandpoliticstoday@gmail.com. And make sure y'all register to vote. It is so important. And make sure your voter information is correct. Like I said, when we did the recall, we found out so many people's voters information is not correct. They're going to, like, your mail-in information is going to somewhere you live like 10 years ago. So make sure your information is correct. You can go right there on sos.la.gov, sos.la.gov. As long as you have a valid ID or driver's license, you can change your information right there. You can change your address. You can change your party affiliation. You can change or just check on the information. And I really do encourage, like, if you are the person that is most active in your family with regard to that type of, civic engagement, check the information for your family members. When y'all have your next Sunday dinner or your Saturday crawfish boil, or, I got my shirt on, gumbo boudin, etouffee, crawfish, and jambalaya. If y'all are having a family event and y'all are eating, say, hey, let's go check everybody's voter information and just make sure it's going to the right place, because we want to make sure that everyone is engaged, because it's important we grow a stronger New Orleans when we do this together. So thanks so much for tuning into Faith and Politics with me, Eileen. I really appreciate your support, and let's just do great things together. Thank you so much, y'all. I'm out. All right, bye, TikTok. All right, bye, X. See y'all later. All right, bye, Instagram. Thank you so much for tuning in. And last but not least, I would like to thank, let me find them. My Podbean has been live. Thank you so much, Podbean. I appreciate you for being online, because from my Podbean accounts, that is where I'm shared through iHeart, through actually YouTube as well, through Spotify, and through Amazon Music, and through Apple. So thank you all for tuning in. If you have not subscribed yet to get the links and the notification and the new shows pop up, please do that. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. This is Eileen Carter, and I'm out. And last but not least, YouTube. And last but not least, thank you so much, YouTube, for tapping in. I was shutting down all of them, but I saved YouTube for last. I just appreciate the growth that I've seen on the channel, and I just want to thank every one of you from the bottom of my heart for tapping in. And so I'm out, y'all. Thank you so much.